Monsoon rain hammers rusted rooftops, flooding alleys thick with the scent of damp earth and desperation. Vendors whisper over black market lighters and blood-stained dog tags. A battered taxi skids to a halt. The door slams. Vang steps out, young, sharp-eyed, dressed in a suit that still carries the scent of a first-class cabin. A Hmong businessman sent to Vietnam to settle a deal, one that should have been simple. But nothing ever is. Rain pools around his boots as he grips a heavy leather briefcase. Inside, papers that could shift the balance of power. Above, a neon sign flickers, buzzing like an insect trapped in glass. He doesn't flinch. But behind him, just beyond the glow, something moves. He doesn't turn. He already knows. The Ghost Orchid? The majestic hotel stands like a ghost of past wars and present sins, its bones heavy with opium smoke and whispered betrayals. Inside, in the half-light of a private suite, Madame Dao reclines serene, dangerous. Scarlet lips curl around a cigarette, her jade prosthetic taps idly against a glass of rice wine. Across from her, Vang waits, watches. A dossier slides across the table. Vang stole 3 million, she purrs. You will pay his debt. The words barely settle before the world tilts. Then nothing. The sound of dripping water echoes in the dark, a slow, rhythmic pulse, like the heartbeat of something ancient. Vang stirs, his head throbbing, the taste of blood and damp earth on his tongue. The air is thick, humid, and alive. Somewhere in the shadows, unseen creatures shift, their hisses slithering through the gloom. His bamboo cage creaks, swaying over a swamp that ripples like a breathing lung. His fingers graze his throat, cold metal. A GPS collar. Locked. Tight. Then, a crackle. Hidden speakers come to life. A voice. Smooth. Amused. Madame Dao. You have 12 hours, Mr. Vang. Silence. Then, softly, like a knife slipping through silk. Run. Torches flicker in the distance. Shadows stir. The hunters emerge. Colonel Tran, the butcher of Hue, rolls his shoulders, his necklace of dried ears swaying as he drags a whetstone down his machete. Nearby, Katya, a Soviet sniper, hums a lullaby, fingers deftly assembling cold steel. The silent Cambodian twins prowl in the underbrush fluid, spectral, unseen until it's too late. Above, hidden infrared cameras blink red. Somewhere in Macau, the highest bidders lean closer. The hunt has begun. The jungle is a maze of mangrove roots and forgotten war relics, the air thick with decay and memory. Vang stumbles through knee-deep water, each step dragging against the weight of the GPS collar locked around his throat. His breath is ragged. His pulse was a war drum. Then a snap. A wire recoils. Something sharp kisses his cheek. A crossbow bolt thuds into the tree behind him, still quivering from the force. The twins have found him. Hand seize his shoulders, dragging him into the reeds. Stay still. The voice is soft and urgent. Vang barely breathes as the twins pass, their silhouettes cutting through the mist just inches away. His rescuer's wrists bear the ghost-white scars of shackles. A survivor, a fugitive. I can disable your collar, she whispers. But her eyes tell a different story. First, you'll need this. She presses something into his palm, cool, familiar, his father's spirit knife. The blade hums in his grip, its etched Hmong symbols catching the moonlight. It is a whisper of the past. He remembers the rituals of his childhood, his father's low and steady voice chanting over fevered children, the smell of burning herbs, and the belief that spirits walk among the living. The jungle shifts around him, alive with more than just hunters. Here, the guilty never leave. Mai was never meant to be a hunter. She was bait. My brother was Vang's first victim, she whispers. Rain drips through the jagged husk of the rusted Huey helicopter where they hide, its hollow shell a relic of another war, another hunt. Vang kneels beside her, wiping sweat from her fevered brow. His fingers graze the worn pages in her lap, humming lullabies for the lost. She turns away. Some wounds never close. The walls of the helicopter are scarred with initials and ghosts carved into rust. One set catches his eye. Vang's. Vang exhales. Cold realization sinks its teeth in. Vang had been here before. The pieces shift, locking into place, forming something monstrous. The heroin wasn't stolen, it was traded. CIA-funded Stinger missiles were exchanged for blood. This hunt isn't a game, it's a cover-up. Colonel Tran moves like a predator, his boots sinking into the mud, tracking them through the dark. Then, music. A bamboo flute, its ghostly melody curling through the trees. He pauses, listening. Vang crouches in the fog, playing a tune older than the war. Tran tilts his head. Too late. The ground vanishes beneath him. Quicksand clutches at his body, pulling him under. His final shot cracks through the night, then silence. Katya finds them first. A sniper forged in the wars of Afghanistan, she believes in clean kills and cruel justice. No hesitation, no mercy. Through her scope, the crosshairs settle over Vang's heart. Finger on the trigger, a breath away from death. Then, a voice. A song drifts through the trees, soft and haunting. Mai stands in the ruins of an old karaoke bar, singing, her fingers brushing against Katya's cheek, a ghost's touch. A memory of something lost. The Soviet hesitates. The knife flashes. The twins are patient, silent. Watching Vang and Mai are cornered, trapped within the crumbling ruins of an ancient temple. Vang's fingers graze the worn carvings on the stone words left behind by desperate hands. Spirits drown the faithless, a whisper of warning, a prophecy. Then movement. The twins strike, shadows become fury. The ground shudders. Stone gives way. The floor collapses, and the river below rises to meet them, swallowing them whole. Back in his Hmong village, Vang kneels before his father's shrine. The air is heavy with incense, the whisper of past prayers lingering in the smoke. Gently he lays down the stolen fortune, Sivong's blood-soaked wealth, now an offering for something greater. Nearby, his mother works in silence, needle gliding through the fabric. A new symbol takes shape on her story cloth. A lotus, golden against the dark. A mark of rebirth. Of what was lost and what was reclaimed. Mai sings again, but this time beneath the dim lights of a nightclub in Hue. Her voice drifts through the smoky air, smooth, sultry yet woven with something more. The men listening hear only a song, lost in whiskey and neon haze. They don't realize the truth buried in her lyrics, coordinates, names, secrets smuggled in melody, but someone does. In the crowd, a shadow lingers, watching. A package arrives for Vang. No return address, no name. Inside, a postcard. Saigon Central Market, sunlit and bustling, frozen in time. No message, no signature. Tucked within, something fragile. A single dried ghost orchid. He turns the postcard over. The postmark bleeds through the paper, stamped in faded ink. Chiang Mai, 1979. Dawn breaks over the forest's smoldering ruins, smoke curling into the pale sky. Vang and Mai stand at the lotus pond, waiting. Sivong is already there. Motionless, untouched by the chaos. His revolver steady, his smirk unwavering. You are always too soft, Vang. He cocks the gun. Beside him, Madame Dao rests her jade hand on his shoulder, a silent weight of unseen debts binding them together. This was never about money. The heroin was never stolen. It was traded. Stinger missiles for blood, the hunt, the bodies, the secrets, they were meant to be buried. But Vang doesn't hesitate. The spirit knife leaves his hand, cutting through time and memory. It does not strike Sivong. Instead, it buries itself in the base of a weathered Buddha statue. A choice, a reckoning. Mai grips the detonator. Time to finish this. Vang barely has time to step back before she presses the trigger. A deep whoomp shudders through the jungle. Then, hell erupts. The underground weapons cache ignites a chain reaction of fire and fury. Shock waves tear through the canopy, flattening trees and obliterating what remains of the Syndicate's empire. The past burns, they run. Heat licks at their backs, flames clawing at the sky. The jungle roars, not just with fire, but with memory. It remembers, it always has. Behind them, the temple collapses into the inferno. No witnesses, no survivors, only ashes. At the jungle's edge, the first light of dawn splits the sky. The hunt is over, but the ghosts remain. In the ruins of the human forest, the land reclaims its dead. Ash settles like mist. Vines creep over shattered stone. What was built, what was burned, all swallowed by time. Yet, among the wreckage, the Buddha remains, half buried in the earth, its silent expression unchanged, unmoved by war, fire, and fate. And there, amidst the vines and debris, a single ghost orchid sways in the wind, a whisper of what was, a promise of what remains. Months later, Vang kneels at his father's grave. The cool mountain air carries the scent of wet soil and burning incense, the whispers of the past woven into the wind. In his lap, the Hmong storycloth lies folded, stitched with something new, a golden lotus, delicate yet unyielding. It is a mark of survival, of remembrance. With a slow breath, he places joss paper into the stone bowl and sets it alight. Flames curl around the offerings, their embers rising, twisting and taking shape. For a fleeting moment, the smoke blooms into the silhouette of a ghost orchid. His father is watching. Somewhere perhaps he is at peace. In the distance, a motorbike engine growls. Vang turns. Mai stands at the road's edge, two helmets in her hands. Her silhouette is framed by the morning mist, her expression unreadable. She tosses him a helmet. "You coming?" Vang looks down at the grave one last time. The jungle has kept its ghosts. But he is leaving. Vang takes the helmet, swings onto the bike behind Mai. The engine growls, then roars to life. The road ahead winds through mist-shrouded mountains away from the past, towards something unknown. As they ride, the Hmong story cloth flutters in the wind, its golden lotus catching the morning light, a symbol of what was lost. And what remains. No one speaks of the hunt, no one speaks of Saigon. Some things are meant to fade. But in the underworld, the whispers persist. Of a man who walked into the jungle and emerged a ghost. Of a woman whose songs still carry secrets. Of a spirit knife, buried in the dark, waiting patient, silent, for the guilty to return. The end.